All right, everybody, Team MD here in the house at the Arnold. I'm here with David Bay and, of course, Peter McGuff. Post-game wrap-up. We just got out of the auditorium. Very good shows here tonight, David. Very good shows. Women's Physique starting things off. I thought it was a decent lineup. No surprise to me, the winner, Autumn Swanson. She looked great right from the get-go. I thought right from prejudging it was basically her game to lose. She brought it. It looked even better, I think, tonight at the finals.
Yeah, it wasn't any surprise to me that she won once everybody came out, but the surprise to me was Kyra Newman. Your runner-up at the Olympia, and not only was she a runner-up at the Olympia, but they really worked her with Juliana back in September. I think Kyra was everybody's favorite coming into the show. Came in a little bit soft, but Autumn, from the minute she took the stage, Peter actually called it before, not even in a wrap-up video, just in a conversation him and I were having, that he thought Autumn was could very well be the winner this weekend, and she locked it down right from when she came out. So she made it easy on the judges.
Well, Peter, Kyra Newman, now, again, runner-up at the Olympia, and it was a close runner-up. I mean, Juliana still looked great, but Kyra gave her really all she could handle. She didn't look anything like what we saw at the Olympia here.
No, not at all. And obviously with Autumn being the standard bearer for what was going to win in terms of condition, anybody who wasn't in condition was penalised even more, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Autumn is... she's got presence. She's got a certain star appeal. You know, she's good on the stage. She emotes well, and I think this autumn will be up there in the Miss Olympia.
I think so, too. She definitely has that look. She can definitely stand with the best of them. I think if there's one thing I would critique, it's that she has to be careful not to lean out too much. So I think she could actually stand to be like a pound or two heavier, really, because I could see where that's starting to go, that little sinewy kind of muscle look. But you know, that's just nickel and diamond, obviously. Like here, great victory for her and well deserved. It was a little monster in second place, Danny Reardon. I tell you what, the crowd always likes her. You can't help but love her just because she's very spunky and she's got a lot of energy on stage. The routines are always great. But she brought the physique this time in a well-deserved second place.
Yeah, Danny had been around the pro scene for a little while, hadn't really nailed it. We saw her really get it together last year for a win, fourth place at the Olympia. So she was one of the favorites coming in here as well. And Danny definitely delivered. And like you said, she's got such a bubbly personality, huge following on social media, and for a good reason. She's very likable. Her routine was phenomenal. Just all smiles when she was up there. She's like one of those athletes you can just tell that she loves being a physique competitor, loves being on stage, loves being in front of a crowd, and it was definitely a good second place finish for her.
Well, the little monster takes second and third place. My girl, Mindy O'Brien. I tell you, now, Mindy, as you all know, Peter, a former Olympian, but not in physique, but in fitness. So we've seen her on more than one occasion rocking that Olympia stage, a top 5 Olympian, now a top 5 Olympian in physique.
Yeah, she's got a great physique, and she also, I mean, obviously she used the fitness moves in her routine, but she did a fabulous routine. I don't know what the music was, but it was almost spellbinding just watching the whole thing and the way it was knitted together with the moves, the somersaults and everything. Very graceful, almost balletic, but it was terrific.
Well, Mindy never disappoints when it comes to routines. She probably the best poser on the circuit, as far as I'm concerned. But congratulations to all 3 of our top ladies here in physique. Moving on, David, to our fitness. Fitness was very good. Fitness, honestly, is one of my favorite parts of the show. Peter, we've talked about this for years. It's the only excitement that we get in terms of movement on stage, athleticism, and these girls bring it, man. I mean, they really do. No surprise here, Oksana Grishina, the incumbent champ, the Olympia champ. She may go on for 10 years, Peter, honestly. I mean, she could break any record she wants. She is, to me, that far ahead of the competition.
Yeah, the thing is with her routines is she comes out one year and does a routine, and you ask yourself, how's she going to top this? She did that Joker routine 3 years ago. How's she going to top that? Well, then she comes out and does a flash dance pole routine. Wow, how's she going to top that? Then she comes out and does this dramatic black swan routine that everybody loved.
Right.
And we were asking ourselves last year after the Arnold and the Olympia, and some of the girls used the routine once or twice throughout the course of the year. It was like, how does she top that? And she came out tonight with a Michael Jackson routine. Now, I was talking to Oksana. We interviewed her a little bit. You've seen it before. I've seen it before. Peter's seen it before. especially at the local level, even at the national level, we see people try to do Michael Jackson quite a bit. And usually when somebody tries to do Michael Jackson, you just end up kind of doing one of these. I mean, she nailed it. She had the attitude, the personality, the outfit, everything. I mean, she's absolutely fantastic. It's almost difficult to put into words how good Oksana is.
It's almost like the competition can just beat it.
I'm
Moving on.
trying.
So, Peter, you can't say enough about Oksana. Obviously, head and tails literally above everybody else. But David's right. I mean, she just keeps reinventing. She raises that bar herself. I mean, she said in her acceptance speech with the governor on stage. But just another great routine.
Yeah, and what's great about the fitness girls is, I mean, they seem to accept that it's Oksana's, you know, we're here for second place, which is not to denigrate them. The thing I've known about the fitness girls, more than any other division, how supportive they are of each other. As each of them were being awarded the places, everybody in line was clapping. And when, Whitney Jones got second, all the girls, even the ones that were standing there fourth, fifth, sixth, applauded, and then the same for Oksana. And I've noticed that over the last few years, those girls really club together. Yeah.
You know, we talk about the camaraderie amongst the 212 guys, and they're a very tight-knit group. I think the fitness girls are actually even tighter, and they have been for many years now, but they generally help each other out. I've seen them help each other with routines, with ideas. Whitney Jones in second place, as you mentioned, Peter, well-deserved. You know, Whitney Jones has got one of those physiques where if she ever stops tumbling on the stage, I'd love to get her on Physique. Yeah. Because I tell you what, I think she can do very well in either class. And I mentioned that to her before, but, you know, she's still rocking the stage here, second place at the Arnold. So congratulations to Whitney Jones. Rounding out our top three, Peter.
Well, Bethany Wagner, who's always competitive. I don't know the scorecards, but I don't know whether she did win the physique round, but she's usually up there. She does a great routine, and she's always very competitive.
Oh yeah, well, you know, Bethany, another top Olympian every year, very consistent with her routines. While her routines are consistent, if she's ever got a shot to beat Oksana, I think she'd really have to step up her game, and just in terms of being inventive, you know, and really trying to. You got to go after the champ. Bethany's routines are good, but they're, I don't know, I want to say a little more level.
Well, personally, I don't think anybody has. These pictures. I don't think anybody could have liked her routine more than me as an 80s person. The Back to the Future thing, I love it. Bethany's all about having a lot of fun with her routine, which is fantastic. We've seen her do Hot for Teacher. We've seen her do the UFC routine. Now Back to the Future as an 80s fan, I love it. And the thing that I tell people when I talk about these fitness routines is a lot of these girls come out with themes, and they have great themes, and they're a lot of fun. Oksana comes out and she tells a story, and I don't know if that sounds overly dramatic for discussing a routine, but when Oksana comes out, it's not just, hey, this is my theme, I'm going to put on a performance. She just takes it to another level. So as Peter said, you're not really taking anything away from these other fitness girls. So for Bethany, I think she is doing a great job at improving her routines, practicing her moves. She's been around for a while. The Back to the Future thing, a lot of fun. Her last UFC thing, a lot of fun. But for any of the competitors, not just Bethany, Whitney, for any of them to step up to Oksana's level, you know, I hate to not give the other girls enough credit, but I just don't see it happening.
Well, like I say, she could be in the driver's seat for many years to come, being that she can keep reinventing and keep raising that bar. Congratulations to all the fitness pros here. Moving on to figure. Not really surprised here either. The Olympia champ, Latoya Watts here. She looks great. I mean, you know, you literally start to wonder now. I tell you what, it's going to be a great matchup to see her and Nicole Wilkins going back at it on the Olympia stage this year, which I'm sure it's going to come down to those two. But does she have a physique of the future, Peter? Does she represent something different that can take her to the next 4, 5, 6 years?
Physique of the future? Well, she has dealt for the women's physique division. You know, I got to say this.
Don't hold back, Peter. Say it, man.
Let me tell you a little story. I think we first became aware of Latoya at the 2014 Tampa. Right. At the show the next year, Donna Oliveira, World Games champion, lightweight from 1985, came back at 49, went in the women's physique division, was told the shoulders were too big. She was told the shoulders were too big. Need I say more? Those shoulders, I mean, it gives a great taper and everything, but it's like, to me, it's almost like, what if she had 31-inch thighs? You know, would that disqualify her? And it comes back, there's still this, what are we looking for here? Do they have to be defined? Do they have to be cut? Do they have to be razor sharp or whatever? You know, I would have had Candice Lewis with that shape and everything. Seemed to me to fit the ideal, but I was told she was too soft. Well, how hard does she have to be to win a figure class? End of sermon, soapbox dispensed with.
Always appreciate it, Peter. But you bring up a good point. I looked at Candice Lewis out there, and I love Candice Lewis. Her body stands out from the rest, clearly. But like Peter said, okay, well, she wasn't hard enough. Well, what is hard enough? And that's always been the problem with figure is then it gets, you know, we go through this cycle about every 4 or 5 years where I've talked to judges and they've said the girls are too hard. Yet they keep rewarding that physique. So, I mean, what message are you sending if you keep rewarding a physique that's too hard?
I think you're just getting a couple of girls that are coming into the figure division that have cartoony physiques.
Cartoony.
Like the first
Excellent,
time
David.
we saw Latoria in Tampa in 2013, I don't even know what you do with her. You either give her a unanimous first place because her waist is smaller, her quads are better, her delts are wider than everybody else, or you put her at the bottom because she doesn't even. I mean, it almost cartoony. That's it, cartoony. And we have another young girl coming up, Shanique Grant, who's equally as cartoony. A Joan Smith, another girl who won last.
We got a 3 cartoony limit here in this word.
So you have a couple of these girls coming up that just have shape that is so much different than everybody else. You know, like a Nicole Wilkins and a Candice Lewis, softer edges. They don't have quite the dramatic tapers. Obviously, Candice has a very small waist. Nicole has a small waist. But again, Latoria just structurally and genetically is just on a little bit different playing field. And I think if they keep going in that direction, or as long as she keeps getting on stage from this point forward, I think she's going to continue to win.
Well, that certainly will be an interesting matchup come Olympia time. Kamala Rodriguez rounding out that top 3. Another great finish for her, and she looked phenomenal. The only problem in second place, runner-up here. The only problem she had was Latoria was here. Other than that, I mean, you know, she walks away with this, but she looked great too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good competition. And of course, with Latoria being, I wish I could say the name. Was it? Latoria. She has a secret. But, with the reigning Olympia champion in the lineup, you've always got a hell of a mountain to climb. And irrespective of what I said before, Latoria does have that presence and that look to her, you know, of a champion. And it's difficult to dethrone a reigning Olympia champion.
Sure is. Well, Kamala, obviously landing in the runner-up position here. Third place, David, was Jennifer Strobo. You know what? Jennifer, a veteran competitor, many Olympia stages. Her best finish right here, I think. She's still hanging in there, man.
She's very consistent. She just shows up every year, every show she goes to. She's very consistent. You know, she's winning in Toronto every year. She's a top 10 finisher at the Olympia. So no surprise to me with this lineup that she was top 5 here. Third place, good finish, finishing ahead of Sid Gillen and Candice Lewis and a couple other bigger names. But she deserved it. Consistency is definitely one of her strong points. She's never off. So good finish for her.
All right, well, the big heavyweight fight here tonight, of course, the 212 guys taking the stage. If there's anything to be said about the 212, it's that they're incredibly consistent. These guys come in shape every time. There was, 9 competitors, I think, out there? All 9 guys were in shape. Not one guy was off, but by any large amount. But, you know, I don't think it was any big surprise that it came down to the 4 guys that it did. But when the smoke clears, it was not Jose Raymond defending the title, but Hidetaka Yamagishi taking it home.
Yeah, it was very close this afternoon. I mean, obviously, from the get-go, it looked like Jose had left the door open a little bit. He just wasn't 100% the way he was before. I think he did get better in the evening. My choice would have been David Henry, but I know that wasn't going to happen. I thought Jose might have done enough in the evening to pull it off because he did look bigger and fuller and his thighs were more cut. But Hide, super competitive and also, you know, complete. Like you say, all those guys are in shape. Top 9, there was only 9 in shape. When do we see that in the Open Mr. Olympia? Top 9 guys all in shape. Very rarely.
That would be nice, yeah. You know what was interesting to me is there were various parts throughout the evening where I had all 3 of those guys in first place at one time. You know, like David Henry would hit a couple of shots, and I go, man, David looks freaking good, man. Like he's got enough legs, and he's, and I go, I don't know, maybe I'm going with David. Then Hide came out, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know, man. Hide's kind of looking good, And then Jose would hit a couple shots, and then he'd turn and hit like a big double bicep or something. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, maybe he can defend the title here. He's better tonight than he did at the prejudging. So that's how tight it was. Always a nightmare for the judges. Did you agree with the decision, David?
Yeah, I agree with exactly what you just said. I mean, David Henry's back. Obviously you have open guys that are probably a little bit better, but it's got to be right up there with the best backs in the entire IFBB. I agree with you 100%. I kind of went back and forth. I had Jose on just completeness. I felt Jose's thighs were big enough to where he overcame David Henry. In the back shots, Hidetada lacks a little bit of back mass in the thickness that Jose has. Jose's legs are a little bit bigger. Jose doesn't flow quite as well as Hidetada. David Henry's waist a little bit tighter than Jose's. But if I'm looking at a complete package, head to toe, pose for pose, I would have had Jose. But Hidetada looked absolutely fantastic. His posing routine was on the money. Condition was there, so even though he wasn't necessarily my pick for winner, when I saw him win, I was like, oh, okay, I can
really
go.
complain,
I can go with that. I wasn't one of those things that was shaking my head or anything, and he looked fantastic. His conditioning was good. I think he got better tonight. I mean, part of it, the lighting was better here at the Patel Grand, the finals theater, than it was on the Expo stage. So everybody looked a little bit better because of that. But the guys all got better. So it was a good win for him. And like I said, I think he could have, picked a couple of names out of a hat and made an argument for any one of those guys.
Well, Peter, you said you would have had no problem with David Henry winning. Why?
Because I think, he's got more of a classical physique, if I could use that word.
You can use any word you want.
In this area. He wasn't bulbous, let's get that straight.
It was not bulbous.
And he was not doing the jerky, jigging about. Anyway, so, it's not part of the judging, obviously, but put a silhouette of all the guys up there, and the best one is David Henry, the traps into the delts, the arms, the waist. Waist was tiny and ripped,
Very good ab shot he had.
Yeah, the thighs were ripped but weren't full enough, although they did sort of fill in a little bit. So I tend to look at a physique as the complete thing, the muscle development, the proportion, the tie-in between the body parts and the condition. But a lot of the time today, it's like condition. Is his arse ripped? Then he's my boy, Now, nobody ever went to the gym on his first day at the gym and say, I want a ripped arse.
No, well, we see plenty of asses in the gym, but that's kind of a whole different.
Well, you do. I mean, as a dweller of a gym with you, I know what you're looking at.
That's right. Well, listen, the rest of the lineup was no slouches either. Guy Cisternino in there. Now, he takes 4th place. Now, Guy was good, but I've seen him a little bit better. And so that's why I didn't have it. At various points, I had the 3 guys kind of changing in and out. I kind of had Guy in a solid 4th the whole show.
Yeah, I had him in battling with that 4th place spot with Charles Dixon. Right. Guy, to me, looks like he streamlined his physique a little bit, and he's always had a prettier physique for a shorter guy. His waist looked a little bit smaller. His shoulders looked a little bit wider. So when he first came out, that's kind of what popped to me. I was like, well, Guy, kind of a little bit prettier physique than what we've seen from him in the past. Lean, but he's got good separation, but not that dryness or that graininess we've seen from him. I keep going back to the first year I covered the Chicago Pro in 2013. He actually got 2nd there to Tricky Jackson. He was razor sharp, bone dry, and so once you see a competitor like that, you find yourself comparing that to every time he gets on stage in the future. And so for as good as Guy looked here, still not as sharp as we've seen him, but a very tough lineup. And again, a 4th place finish for him, considering the guys he was going against. That's not bad.
And the tank was 5th, correct?
6th.
6th, that's right. Kung-Wan Kang was in 5th place. He looked good. I thought he looked better at Europa when we saw him. He looked good. He almost just looked a little flattish, I kind of want to say. Not cartoonish, but flattish. But again, very good physique. He's a big guy for a 212. He's a little bit taller and a little bit bigger, so he holds a good amount of size. But I thought it was competitive between him and Charles Dixon, rounding out fifth and sixth. The Tank, not quite up to par. But we've seen him a little bit better, a little bit fuller, and kind of when that muscle's really popping. But he's impressive, man. I mean, he's wider than he is tall, literally.
Yeah, I mean, Dixon but my first reaction was, how did he make 212? He's just.
He barely made it, actually.
Did he? Is it very dense? But to go back to Won Kang, I felt he improved a little bit tonight. Flattish, maybe he was flattish to deceive. We don't know that. But are you with me on that? No, forget it. I thought a lot of the guys improved tonight, got a little bit fuller. Charles has got to watch his midsection, especially when he's not posing, because he was standing in line and there it was. But this was a good result. I'm not sure we've seen him any better than that. He's always been massive, but here he had, separation and tie-ins and everything. So I think this might be a sort of a breakthrough for him. Now he's in that top six. This is a big contest, the second biggest contest of the year, and he's up there. So he should build on that.
Well, I think we're going to see these guys throughout the year. Obviously, the season's just starting, David, so we're going to see these 212 guys. They compete a lot. They stay in shape. So we're going to see all these guys back on stage. Give me the general overview of day one here at the Arnold, David.
Fantastic day. Quality of competitors. That was the thing for me, top to bottom. All the divisions, very high-quality competitors. One guy I would like to mention is John Meadows in the 212. Now, John doesn't have the prettiest physique. We all know that.
No, he doesn't.
But, in an industry where, I've made a lot of friends in this industry, and there's a lot of really cool people in this industry and some not so cool people. But, John, no, John's one of those guys where he's as likable as it gets. He's a super nice guy. It was his dream. He's from here in Columbus. Dreamed to get on stage at the Arnold. He didn't place how he wanted to place, but he showed up by far the best conditioned person, not only at this show. I doubt you'll see anybody in the Open tomorrow as lean as he was today. Probably the leanest guy I've seen in years, and I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate John on making it here to the Arnold. Anybody who's ever stepped on a bodybuilding stage, getting to the Arnold or the Olympia is a dream come true. And I know he's a little disappointed right now with how things played out for him today. But as somebody who's in the media and as somebody who's a fan first and foremost, for me to see somebody like John have an opportunity to be on this stage and really, you could tell he didn't take it for granted. He's like, I have an opportunity to get on the Arnold stage in my backyard in front of my friends and family. He worked his ass off, literally, and first place, last place, anywhere in between. John Meadows is a winner for being here this weekend, and I just wanted to say that on camera.
Yeah, big kudos to John Meadows, a class act all the way. Doesn't really matter where he places. I mean, obviously he's a competitor. He wants to be in that top call out. But he's got other things going on. I mean, he's got other business going on. Very smart guy. So, he's not hurting in that department. So, congratulations to him. Peter, your general overview of day one here at the Arnold.
Well, I think that, again, each class had its own little drama, apart from Oksana being, clearly the winner. The 212s again delivered as they always do, with the quality physiques. We were a bit worried when we only saw 9, but they're really 9 top-class competitors. Be interested to see what the score sheet is, whether they were close this afternoon or whether Hide was always in the lead. And then, of course, the posing round. Did he win it on the posing round, or was he already had then?
Doubtful.
We'll see. We'll see it. We'll see that in due course. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to wrap stuff up here, guys. Tomorrow, the crown jewel of the Arnold weekend, of course, the men's open competition, the prejudging tomorrow morning. We're also going to see the bikini and men's physique, I do believe. So we've got some action coming on tomorrow. I'm excited for this men's open. I mean, I can't wait to get these guys out there. The return of Kai Green. We haven't seen him in a year and a half. Justin Compton, has he made the improvements necessary? Can Big Mac improve from last week? Can Branch Warren, be pissed off enough to get out there and take some people out? So we got a whole bunch of storylines going on for tomorrow. So it's going to be a good one, guys. Stay tuned. We got 2 more days here at the Arnold weekend. Of course, the hidden crown jewel, as you heard, of course, David. The hidden crown jewel of the weekend.
Tell
the Sunday seminar, of course, with me and Arnold. Peter will be front and center. Of course, I'm going to hit you up later on, Peter, for some good questions. And that's going to wrap things up here tonight for Team MD. We'll be back tomorrow, full coverage all day long, prejudging, and, of course, the nighttime finals.